Hi, I'm Haley Jarmond, and you're listening to The Modern Classroom. On today's episode, I want to talk to you about what is your dream classroom? Just think about that for a second. Do you imagine something with lots of physical supplies around? Is there a projector in this classroom? How big is this classroom? What are the most important things to that? Well, obviously, a teacher's past experiences influence their perception of what a classroom should be. If a teacher is basing what their classroom should be off of their own experience, then it's their time spent 5-10 years ago in the classroom that they're now teaching in, that grade level, then they're basing their classroom off of 10-year-old standards, maybe even more, right? And you might start to see that this can be a problem, right? We often think that the classroom is a sacred place to be protected against the distractions of modern day. This train of thought is that since learning is such a basic and integral feature, it must be reflected through basic methods and mediums. While it is true that preventing student distraction and simplicity can be beneficial, both of these can assist and even be streamlined through the use of technology in the classroom. So we have to be aware of these biases. We have to understand that the classroom that we want is based off of the experience of what worked for us. But not everything that worked for us is going to work for your students. As well, not everything that worked 10 years ago is going to work in modernity, right? So, why should you incorporate technology if you're doing fine right now? Well, first of all, if you're doing good, that's great. I'm proud of you. But even if tech can't better your students, which usually it should, at the very least, it should increase your efficiency. Because you have to keep in mind that bringing things on to a digital and updating it to the current state of technology is going to help you in terms of grading faster, focusing more of your time on your students, and just in general being more efficient with your processes so you have more time to focus on students or just focus on yourself. You shouldn't be able and be required to dedicate all this time to your job when we have other things, right? So let's use technology to make the job easier, to make teaching more effective, right? So let's explore some examples of this. Tech in the class can build skills and interests relevant to students outside of the classroom, right? An example of this I will use is a teacher that I had. He was a history teacher. He had a profound influence on my ideology. Again, you have to think about those biases. This is something that is based off of a teacher I had in the past. But nonetheless, I think it's a great example of technology use because he had an assignment where students had to design cards, as in cards they used in a card game, for historical characters. So, for example, maybe you had Nasser, and on the card you would explain who he was, the years that he lived, and some important events and stuff like that, right? Now, the important thing that he did was he kind of left it open-ended as to how you approach this. How do you make these cards? How do you make this card game, right? And a student who really benefits and really enjoys doing hands-on art with just paper and pencil, right, can do that. They can make really vibrant, beautiful things. And if that works for them, then why should we restrict that, right? So allow that, but at the same time, also allow students to access things like websites that are specifically designed for card design, or using a art program that's used for digital art and creation. So from here, not only are students retaining and reinforcing that information that they learned, but they are also going to go deeper into the technologies that they're using. So if you're using a new program or a new platform, they're also learning that as well. They're gaining that skill. And most importantly is that you allow students who really feel attached to that, right, to benefit. So for example, there are websites that allow you to design Pokemon cards, right? So then a student can use that, and maybe the skill of learning this website isn't the most significant thing, although it's arguable that the fact that someone is learning something new and getting used to the technology is. But regardless, the fact that they are molding and combining a interest of their own, right, Pokemon, with history and with a subject matter, because of this, you are then bringing together that emotional connection, and students are more likely to remember that event and what you taught them, and they're to think more highly of it, right? So the assignment itself, they're going to appreciate and remember, and the content within it, right? So it has a lot of value. Thank you so much for listening to this first episode of The Modern Classroom. I hope that you will stay and listen for more episodes to come, but regardless, have a great day.